Hi, Kerry here. I'm the host of Best of Us Investors. Did a video a couple of months ago on a company by the name of Grail. It was started by Illumina, and then it was spun off to a separate company. And its task was to develop the technology to find evidence of cancer in human bodies. And they have succeeded at that. And to give you an idea of what it's like, I'd like to start by showing you a bit of a video from NBC that I saw just this weekend explaining where they're at now. So watch this.
Through Sutter Health in California, he volunteered to be part of a study on a blood test that can screen for more than 50 cancers. He was shocked when the results came back positive. Then his physician ordered scans and found stage 2 cancer in his pancreas. Jim and his wife were devastated.
She literally collapsed on the living room floor and sobbed because we were both thinking it was a death sentence.
But that test probably saved his life because the cancer was found early.
This is where the processing begins.
Dr. Josh Hoffman is president of Grail, a Silicon Valley startup that created the Gallery test.
Most cancer deaths are happening in cancers that we're not screening for at all.
Nobody's finding them.
That's exactly right.
Only 5 major cancers have screening tools like mammograms or colonoscopies. 71% of cancer deaths are caused by other cancers.
We're losing almost 2,000 of our loved ones every day. And it's because we're finding most cancer too late.
Gallery looks at blood for DNA shed by cancer tumors. If it sees that DNA, then it predicts where the cancer is.
So if it says cancer signal detected, predicted location, ovary, the doctor will know to do an imaging test of the pelvis.
The Gallery test is available now by prescription, but is not covered by insurance. Cost to the patient, $950. A positive result is not always right. Up to half will turn out not to be cancer. But researchers at the National Cancer Institute say the results so far could potentially revolutionize cancer screening, and they're designing bigger studies. After surgery, chemo, and radiation,
how are you?
Jim's surgical oncologist says his latest scan looks great.
To catch it at stage 2 is a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's like winning the lottery.
Okay, that gives you a little teaser of where I'm going here. And I want to then also allude to the fact that this is now a subsidiary or a part of Illumina, and Cathie Wood's dumped all of her shares of Illumina. Let's talk a little bit more about that.
Best of Us Investors presents Kerry Griegmeyer.
First, before we get into Cathie Woods, I want to talk to you about Francis DeSouza. He's the CEO of Illumina, and he has built this up to where Illumina now has about 95% of the genome sequencing business. He built up Grail, and this video I want to show you now was actually done with an interview on CNBC in 2020. This was him explaining the relationship between Grail and Illumina. So watch this.
What we do and what Grail does, we at Illumina provide the machines that allow people to do genomic sequencing. So you put in blood or saliva samples, we tell you what DNA is in there. Our products are used, for example, to fight the pandemic. So a lot of the news you see about new variants emerging, well, the sequencing of that virus a lot of it is done on our machines. We're also used in cancer hospitals. We're used to diagnose, to match cancer patients with therapies or diagnose kids with genetic diseases. So we're a leader in providing genomic sequencing solutions. We invented the technology that Grail uses, way back in our labs, where we first started to see genomic biomarkers in blood for cancer. And we knew that could be a really big discovery in terms of helping improve the survivability for people who had cancer. And so back in 2016, we spun the technology out to raise the $2 billion it took, almost $2 billion, to do the very large clinical studies to develop that test. Now, that test came out onto the market earlier in June, and it's a blood test, a simple blood draw that looks for 50 cancers across all stages in your blood. That's a really big step forward in the fight against cancer.
Sure.
10 million people a year die of cancer. And we know that if you catch cancers early, your odds of surviving are much higher than if you catch it later. And so we're at the stage now where we want to scale access to this test, make it broadly available, help get reimbursement for the test, and make it available to people.
As Illumina has built its business, and as I say, they hold about 95% of the genome sequencing business in the world. And what genome sequencing is basically, as he explained, you give him some of your spit or your blood, and he does something with it, and it basically looks into your body and your genome and determines if you have anything that is out of whack that could give you the propensity to have cancer, heart disease, Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, whatever. And they control 95% of this business. So they have these machines sitting in doctors' offices and clinics, and they also now own Grail. And Grail is a company that, as you saw in the first video, has the ability to find cancer with some level of effectiveness in human bodies. And it is a game changer. Now, the other thing that I think you need to recognize is ARC sold. Illumina used to be in 2020, used to be ARC's 7th largest holding with roughly $350 million of stock. Between August the 7th and November the 27th, they liquidated all shares. Now, you need to understand why Cathie did that, and it is because they operate under a premise that if you're in the technology field, you have what they call Moore's Law. With every basic quarter, you become more efficient in what you're doing, so the price of your product should go down. Illumina hasn't done that. They have not. A year ago, their price for a genome sequencing was about $1,000, and it's still there. Cathie Wood said, "This means we don't want to own you anymore." So between August the 7th and November the 27th, they liquidated all their shares of Illumina. So it went from $350 billion to nothing, and my pretense on that is their largest holding is Tesla, and Tesla's been doing this since, I guess, somewhere around 2015, 2014, and they haven't lowered the prices on their cars, but yet she continues to make that her #1 holdings. I find something not quite right there, but I'm not going to argue with Cathie and her methodology of investing. They have rules in place, and thus they're going to do that. So where does that leave Illumina? In my mind, it doesn't change anything. In fact, let me show you the article that came out on August of 2021 that confirms that now Grail is, in fact, a part of Illumina. And if you think through what that means is they have a company now that has the ability to test your blood and tell you if in your blood there are remnants of some form of cancer in your body. And as the first video I showed you the doctor said, it not only tells you, yes, Carrie, you have cancer in your body, but yes, Carrie, it's in your prostate or it's in your lungs. And then we can do a visual image and we can see it. And as they say, if you can do that, and I envision this, that it could eventually get to the point where Grail has a little device in my bathroom, and once a month I prick my finger and that blood test goes to Grail, and Grail tests it and comes back and tells me you're clean, you're no, or you need to have it tested. Now, also, there is the issue that right now this test costs $950. Do I believe that when they get the efficiency, the accuracy up, that insurance companies won't step up forward and say, wait, we'll pay for that test, much as you can now get a test to find out if you're pregnant for about $6.95, and there is no insurance element to it whatsoever. But I do see this as something that insurance companies are going to want to step up and say, as they improve their accuracy, we'll pay for it, because we don't want the cost of dealing with taking people through the full cycle of, you've got stage 4 cancer, you're going to go into chemotherapy and radiology, and you're eventually going to be cured or you're going to die, and I'm an insurance company and I'm picking all that up. Well, if I can catch it in stage 1 or stage 2, my exposure as an insurance company comes down dramatically. And so I envision that this $950 is going to go away. And it might come down to, I have an insurance policy that says that I can take this test so many times a year and my insurance covers it. So I am holding my Illumina because I just again see a natural cycle here. Test my blood, determine I have some element of cancer, get my genome sequence, get a needle in my arm, take the cancer out of my body, and I never have it and I never get it again. This is where I think this is going. So today, if you look at this chart of Illumina, it's down from its high. It's down 27%, and so it's on sale. And the way the stock market is going here in December, every day it fluctuates dramatically as the hedge funds, as I've told you before, and the mutual funds and the ETFs are trying to make their numbers, and they're just pumping this market up and down on a daily basis so that they can get their profits up. So watch Illumina and buy in if you do your own due diligence. Currently, I hold about $32,000 worth of Illumina. It's my 8th largest holdings. But again, you do your due diligence. Don't you be writing me and saying, Carrie, you suggested these stocks and I invested them and they all went red. You're to blame. No, you're to blame because you need to do your due diligence. I'm not here as a financial advisor. I'm here to share my knowledge, my experience, and I'm a long-term investor. Yeah, I own Editus. Yeah, I'm down 40% in it, but I'm quite comfortable that I've got about a 250xer there, and I'll write it out. Okay, so that's my take on, did Cathie Wood make a $350 million mistake? I think she did, but it's not too late, Cathie. You can buy back in. All right, you do your due diligence. Cathie, you do your due diligence, and I'll do mine. Talk to you again tomorrow.